So celebrating a thin white body as the ideal body is a way to other and demonize Black and brown bodies, bigger bodies, anyone who doesn't fit into that norm. So this is really about maintaining systems of white supremacy and patriarchy, which I think is very helpful to understand, because I think a lot of us are really working to divest from those ideas, but we haven't given ourselves permission to stop dieting or to accept our weight wherever it might fall. And if you can understand that actually by continuing to pursue thinness, you are in some level maintaining your complicity with white supremacy and patriarchy.
Hey guys, tonight's video is a good one. It's one that I'm really excited to do because you know I love talking about woke identity politics and challenging what I consider to be stupid. And I haven't done it in a while because I've been so caught up covering this, that, and the other, because there's so many crazy things going on in our world right now, right? But yeah, I haven't done one of these in a while, but it's always so much fun. I love questioning their weird rhetoric. And sometimes I'm wrong, you know, right? Sometimes I'm just being a bigoted old Gen X far-right extremist and I don't get it. And you guys point it out to me. And there have been occasions where I've been like, okay, well, I guess, I didn't look at it that way. Like, through the eyes of a snowflake. No, I didn't look at it that way. So yeah, I'm open to challenge. Obviously, right? I'm out here challenging what I see from other people. So obviously people are welcome to challenge me. It'd be such a boring world if that wasn't the case, right? So what a long intro. Let's get to it. This video is going to be a reaction to what I thought was a crazy video it's not a video, it's like a sound clip that appeared in my Instagram feed. And in this clip, we've got a woke university lecturer, professor, and author talking about thin privilege. And before I continue, yes, I know what woke means. I know that the word has been appropriated by the modern right, but it had an original meaning among Black social justice activists. Yeah, I know. I was woke back in the 90s. But yeah, I'm using it in the current sense, the popular sense, because that's just, the language has evolved, and that's how most people use the word today, the way that I'm using it. And I could come up with a different word, but then I'll have to explain what that word means because it's not the word that people are using, right? So the whole point of language is that you use the language that people understand. It's not my fault that it's changed, is it? Yeah. So here's the clip. It's once again, it's a university professor and author, but I don't know her name. It didn't say in the clip because they didn't credit her, which I think, I hate that. Don't you hate that? I always credit people whenever I share their content. And so if anyone knows who this is, do let me know and then I'll credit her so that she can be embarrassed when she hears me debunk her nonsense. So here's Professor what's her name on the subject of thin privilege.
Thin privilege, you also write, is a white and heteronormative ideal. When we strive for thinness, you write, we're reinforcing every other form of stigma at the time. You kind of alluded to this. For people of color specifically, thin privilege then gives you access to white privilege. Can you explain this?
Yeah, I mean, the thin ideal is definitely a white ideal. When we trace the history of modern diet culture, we really trace it back in the United States to the end of slavery. And Sabrina Strang's book, Fearing the Black Body, is sort of the iconic work on this that I would refer people to. But her research talks about how as slavery ended, Black people gained rights, obviously white supremacy is trying to maintain the power structure. So celebrating a thin white body as the ideal body is a way to other and demonize Black and brown bodies, bigger bodies, anyone who doesn't fit into that norm. So this is really about maintaining systems of white supremacy and patriarchy, which I think is very helpful to understand, because I think a lot of us are really working to divest from those ideas, but we haven't given ourselves permission to stop dieting or to accept our weight wherever it might fall. And if you can understand that actually by continuing to pursue thinness, you are in some level maintaining your complicity with white supremacy and patriarchy.
Wow, wasn't that crazy? Or you might not think so. Maybe you thought it was very intelligent and insightful and truthful. So I would welcome your explanation in the comments as to why you thought so. But I thought, okay, maybe crazy is a bit strong. I think there are a lot of presumptions there that don't necessarily reflect reality. So I'm going to play it again bit by bit and talk about what she's saying in each segment.
Thin privilege, you also write, is a white and heteronormative ideal.
So it's a white heteronormative ideal, is it? Really? I think that the admiration of a healthy body is quite universal. I would say that across the world, it's quite normal to celebrate lean body types because they're associated with youth and good health and fertility. And obviously there are some exceptions, like Mauritania in Africa, where big bodies are the ideal, like proper fat I'm talking. But that's an exception because, well, Africa is a huge continent and there are many different cultures, and a lot of them also celebrate the thin body. And she said it's a heteronormative ideal as well. So, like, is she saying that gays prefer fat? Like, how is it heteronormative? What, only hetero people are into the lean body image? I feel that probably the most body conscious people in our entire society are the gays. And okay, there is a fat ideal in the gay scene too. Those who are called chubby chasers, and the whole bear scene, which is like fat, older, hairy men. Yeah, so that's a whole other ideal, but it's not the norm. But then it is pretty big in the gay scene. So okay, yeah, gays, I suppose there is a diverse range of ideals in the gay scene because a lot of people are into bears. But the mainstream gay ideal has always been the lean, muscled body because it's associated with masculinity. So, yeah, I don't buy it that it's a heteronormative ideal or that it's a white ideal. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a white ideal or a heteronormative ideal, because it is, but it's not exclusively white and hetero. It's an ideal shared by people of all colors and sexualities, with some exceptions. We Chinese definitely have a thin beauty ideal, and we're not afraid to fat shame. It's a big part of our culture, but it's not done in a hateful way. It's just honest. Like, if you're fat, we'll tell you you're fat. And same with anything else, like any other external characteristic, we'll say it to your face. And because it is what it is, right? We don't believe in lying to you and sugarcoating the truth. No, chances are if you grow up in Chinese society, you're not going to be sensitive because you'll be used to this type of honesty. So, like if you're fat, people generally won't call you by your name. They will just call you Afe, fatty. That will be your name. Even your family will call you Afe or Fei Fei, fat. It's cute though. We say it out of love. Like just, we embrace your fatness. And especially if you're fat and cute, then you're Fei Dut Dut. Fei Dut Dut. And if you visit your relatives and they're not seeing you for a while, they'll be like, "Wow, 做咩你咁肥啊? Whoa, how come you're so fat now?" Yeah. Because everybody knows you're fat, right? You see it in the mirror, and everybody else, the first thing they see about you if you're fat is that you're fat. Like the first thing they'll think, oh, fat person there, right? So, yeah, we're not going to pretend you're not fat. But as I said, it's not meant as insult. It's also, it can be used as a compliment too. Like so many guys out there will relate to this. If you've taken a girl around, like your girlfriend or your wife or whatever, to your mum's, and she's like, "Wow, 你肥咗啊." She's like, "Oh, you've put on weight." And it's a compliment because it means that you're feeding her well. It means that her son is feeding you well. So it's kind of like a compliment to him as well as to you. He's feeding you a load of food and you're eating it and you're getting fatter. And it's a positive thing, I suppose, because our society, we've been through famine, right? So the primary role of your husband is to feed you. And the primary role of your mom is also, like when you go around, is to feed you. Every time my mom has come to visit me from overseas, the first thing she would say is, "Oh, 你瘦咗啊? 你唔食嘢咩? You've lost weight. Have you not been eating?" And it's so worrying. So her main mission is to fatten me back up. And by the time she's gone, I'm guaranteed to have a pot belly. Yeah, and that's love. That's your parental duty to ensure that your kids have pot bellies. And have you seen the Beijing bikini? These are the men in China, usually Gen X, or there's millennial ones too, but mostly Gen X, who walk around with their shirt lifted up, exposing their big belly. Because that's a riz. It means you eat well. And ladies, if you marry this man, he will feed you well. It's considered very attractive. And also there's a health reason. Like the Chinese believe that if it's hot, you need to cool your belly. So the men, they roll up their shirts, and so it's multifunction. It keeps your belly cool, which is good for your health, and it's a sign to the ladies that you will take care of them. I tried to do the Beijing bikini myself, right? Just for a laugh. Because I have a little bit of a pot belly, and so I rolled up my shirt, but it wouldn't stay up because my belly's not big enough, or my shirt is too baggy because I like relaxed kind of oversized fits. So I would have to wear a tight t-shirt, and I'd have to eat more so my belly sticks out more, and then I could show it off proudly among my peeps. But back to the video or audio, let's press on.
When we strive for thinness, you write, we're reinforcing every other form of stigma at the time.
Striving for thinness is reinforcing every other form of stigma at the time. Really? Every other stigma? Like every stigma in the world? How? Striving for one thing reinforces loads of other things, unrelated things. That is a huge unscientifically, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to explain that one to me, break it down for me in detail, but till you do, that's nonsense.
for people of color, specifically thin privilege, then gives you access to white privilege. Can you explain this?
Yeah, I mean, the thin ideal is definitely a white ideal.
The thin ideal is a white ideal. Well, insofar as it's an ideal among white people, then you could call it a white ideal. But it's also an ideal among Asian people, so it's also an Asian ideal. It's also an ideal among black people. As I said earlier on in this video, there are different beauty ideals in different parts of Africa, but the Somali beauty ideal is thin. Somalians are all naturally thin and beautiful. I would say that the thin ideal is less about color and more about socioeconomics. So in poverty-stricken societies where there's famine, plump is the ideal because it represents financial security. And in more affluent societies where people have the luxury of striving for the perfect body type rather than just having to just find enough food to eat, the more affluent the society, the more they strive for a thin ideal. So again, I think it's about socioeconomics rather than color.
When we trace the history of modern diet culture, we really trace it back in the United States to the end of slavery. And Sabrina Strang's book, Fearing the Black Body, is sort of, the iconic work on this that I would refer people to.
Fearing the Black Body. That was the name of the book. I have a bit of an issue with this because I feel that the author has basically substituted the word fat with the word black. Because what she's saying is fearing the fat body is fearing the black body. And is it just me? Or to me, that feels a bit rude and judgmental, and I feel that it's playing on a crude stereotype. No? The assumption that the fat body is the black body, that when you fear a fat body, it's because you fear the black body. So it's implying that black people are fat. Is that cool with you? As I've said repeatedly in this video, there is, in much of the African continent, the main body type is thin. I would say across all societies, the more cheap, low quality food you eat, the more processed sugary carbs, and the less meat you eat, the more likely you are to be fat, regardless of race. And there is less obesity in less developed cultures. The more developed the culture, the more they have access to fizzy soda drinks and junk food, the higher the obesity rate and the poorer the health of the people. So when you eat a healthy diet, if you eat a meat and veg diet, like mostly meat with a bit of veg, which a lot of black people eat, it's almost impossible to be fat. Health and leanness go hand in hand. So fearing the fat body, to me, doesn't equate to fearing the black body. I think that's a racist assumption. You know what, girl? I think you've been watching a bit too much Nutty Professor and Throw Big Mama off the train. No. Big Mama. It's Throw Mama off the train and Big Mama, they're separate movies. But yeah. Or is it Big Mama's house? Is Big Mama something?
As slavery ended, Black people gained rights. Obviously, white supremacy is trying to maintain the power structure. So celebrating a thin white body as the ideal body is a way to other and demonize black and brown bodies, bigger bodies, anyone who doesn't fit into that norm.
Celebrating thin white bodies is demonizing black, brown, and bigger bodies. In my view, celebrating something isn't automatically demonizing something else. If you celebrate one thing, it doesn't mean you're demonizing everything else, right? You're just celebrating it. And let's break down this thin white body thing. Okay, so we've talked about celebrating thin, which is about celebrating lean, healthy, and fertile. Except when it comes to celebrating like heroin chic, deadly, anorexic thin. But celebrating thin and celebrating white is two things. The white part, white people celebrate white celebrities. Chinese people celebrate Chinese celebrities. Black people celebrate black celebrities. So if you're in a predominantly white country, or at least a country where the media is run by predominantly white people, then they'll be celebrating white bodies and thin ones. But the celebration of thin bodies of your own race within your own culture is a representation of the youth, the ideal of youthfulness, and celebrity and youthfulness always gone hand in hand. As society, North American society, European society has become more diverse, then you can see that we've begun to celebrate more colorful thin bodies. So we're seeing much more ethnic diversity in the media, which naturally happens as a society becomes more diverse. But it's not natural to celebrate fat in our society. As I mentioned earlier in this video, in Mauritania, they really do celebrate fat, but that's an exception. It's not the norm because it's not healthy. And the cultural norm in most cultures is to celebrate healthy and encourage people to strive for healthy, because people need to strive for it. It doesn't happen automatically, especially if you live in a society where junk food is constantly being pushed on you. So yeah, it's something to celebrate because it gives people something to aim for, which is a good thing, because good health is a good thing, right? And poor health, it damages your lifestyle and it costs a lot of money for taxpayers. So it's not natural to celebrate fat in our culture, but over the last few years before Trump got into office, the Dems really did celebrate a lot of unhealthy living choices. They embraced obesity under the name body positivity. And I remember during COVID, they had a fat model on the cover of Teen Vogue or Cosmopolitan, one of those magazines, saying, and with the headline, "This is healthy." And this was in the middle of a so-called pandemic where the comorbidity most associated with a poor outcome was obesity. They went hand in hand. So along with celebrating obesity but rebranding it as body positivity, the Dems normalized mental illness and drugs, multiple prescriptions for multiple diagnoses, and fat shaming was out and it was replaced by fit shaming. So they came up with terms like thin privilege, pretty privilege, and we saw headlines in the media such as working out is a far-right activity. They tried to present muscle as a right-wing thing that was a sign of toxic masculinity. So yeah, we've had years of promoting unhealthy lifestyles for some bizarre reason under the Dems. And that actually is not the norm across the world, but the exception. And I feel that there was a strange agenda in operation. I could say more about this and get real conspiratorial and talk about I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Just leave it there. You have to ask me. So yeah, there you have my analysis or debunking of this university professor's theory that thin privilege is anti-black racism. What do you think? Do you agree with me, or do you think she was correct? Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything I've said here. And thank you for all your comments and likes and shares. And thank you to everyone who's subscribing to my channel. It's really exciting to be growing the way I am and just doing what I love with your support. So keep being awesome, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And if you enjoyed this video, do watch this one too. Thank you.